Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to do a pre-trip inspection on a track chipper. While this track chipper is a Brush Bandit 2290, the chipper you might have specifically in front of you might be a different model. So remember, the operator's manual is always your best resort for specific procedure. Before we get started though, we need to make sure that we have all of our proper PPE in place in good condition. So I've got safety glasses on with my Z87 stamp. I've got my helmet system securely attached, it's been inspected. I've got hearing protection here, also inspected. The proper boots with safety toe, long pants, my high visibility vest. And while gloves are optional, I like them, so I've got my gloves as well. To begin a pre-trip inspection, open the Motive app on your device. Select Asset Inspection. Enter the unit number and select the correct machine. Tap Next. Under General Info, select Edit. Enter the engine hours found on the LCD display of the machine. Under Inspection Type, select Pre-Trip. Follow the form and inspect each line item on the screen to ensure everything is in good working condition. A thumbs up indicates it is good and a warning symbol indicates that it needs attention. A minor defect is something that can be fixed on site, while a major defect is something that requires a mechanic's attention. If you are unsure about a particular line item, you can tap on it to bring up additional details. With that said, follow the checklist in Motive for your specific chipper. Today, we will be using a Brush Bandit 2290T for our pre-trip. With the engine cool, check your coolant level. For this chipper, we're right up here. We're gonna remove the cap, look in, witness our coolant level, make sure it's correct. Check your engine oil level. With the chipper on a flat level surface, locate the dipstick for the engine oil. With our clean rag in hand, pull the dipstick out. Wipe the dipstick clean, reinsert fully, and pull it back out for your reading. Should be between the add and full mark. It's good. Wipe it clean again and reinsert. For your hydraulic oil level check, you're going to locate your reservoir. Most reservoirs will have a sight glass. Look for the low mark, the high mark, verify the oil is in between the two. If you do not have a sight glass, there should be a dipstick. Check on that just like engine oil level. For our startup procedure, we're going to come to the box that holds our control panel. We're going to locate our remote, make sure we have it in hand. We need to verify our battery level is good on the remote. We can turn it on by pressing the white button, verifying the emergency stop is pulled out, and we have a battery indicator level. Here we have our ignition switch. We're going to turn it to the on position and let the computer boot up. With the key in the on position, we're going to look at our control panel. Here we have our fuel indicator. We check fuel level here for this particular machine. Your machine might have a gauge on top of the fuel tank if it's not here. Check our engine hours. We pull them right here to verify. Then we can start the engine. Most chippers have a lot of hydraulic lines, so checking your hydraulic lines may take a few minutes. You want to visually verify that all your lines are in place and not being rubbed by abrasive surfaces. Look for signs of leaks. Moisture, like this, is a sign that there's hydraulics leaks happening. Most chippers will have various ball valves that close off the flow of oil. As you're doing your pre-trip, verify that the ball valves are in the open position so that oil can flow. Verify that your fire extinguisher is in place and that the gauge reads a proper charge. Check over the entire machine for loose hardware, missing nuts, bolts, etc. This might take a while, but it's worth it. Let's go back this way. As you move over your machine, remember, there's hydraulic lines that we talked about earlier everywhere. Part of your check needs to be to visually ensure that connections are tight, there's no signs of leaking oil. Also remember, hydraulic oil under pressure has potential to cut your skin and poison your blood. You don't want to be physically touching these hoses unless you have proper PPE on. Regarding checking hardware, everywhere on this chipper are nuts and bolts. Do a thorough job of checking all of them, looking for loose hardware, including behind guarding and panels, such as this one. On this particular chipper, our fuel tank is up front on the right side of the machine. Storm is adding fuel with an auto shut-off nozzle, which is essential. Don't use those nozzles that do not shut off by themselves. For our air cleaner check, we're going to locate the assembly, which is usually near the engine, up high. We're going to verify there's no restrictions to the intake, which is this big piece. We're going to verify that there's no excess material in this valve by squeezing it open. And then we're going to remove the paper element to inspect and make sure that we don't have excessive dirt and dust built up inside. We're going to look over the paper element and we can tap it to make sure there's no excessive dust. Do not use compressed air to clean these elements. The pressure and intensity of the air can rip the paper and allow dust and debris to go right through the filter into your engine. There's gonna be a bunch of crap fall out of this. Remember that every chipper is different, and the ultimate source of information is going to be the operator's manual for that model that you're using. On the 2290 that we're checking out today, we've got this access door here to visually inspect our drive belts for our chipper drum, and we can press on them to verify we do not have excessive deviation according to the spec in the manual on our tension. So here is where we check our tension and our visual inspection of our drive belts. Next on our list, we're going to safely get up on top of the chipper and we're going to orient ourselves where the cutting drum is located. This is our hood and these are our hood hinges. We're going to verify they're not bent or damaged and that they've been lubricated somewhat recently. This safety plug needs to be inserted into the hole in order for the chipper to run. With this removed, it should not operate. In order to check the operation of the hood door, we're going to remove the safety plug. We're going to pull this pin backwards, which I've already done, and open the door. With the door in this position, we can now see our cutter drum. We're going to inspect the condition of the cutter drum, the knives, verify that the hardware is in place, and that there's no obstructions. You must wear gloves for this part of the procedure. You might notice that our chipper changed color and is now yellow. That's okay, it's actually a different chipper, if you can imagine that. So what I'm doing is opening up our access panel for, this is the chipper drum hood. So I removed our safety plug, which will be the same on all Bandit chippers, pulled the pin, and I'm opening the hood. All right, from this angle, you can see our drum surface. We want to be able to rotate this drum to verify that it turns. The best way to do that is with a pry bar. I'm going to use my rake handle to gently turn this around and pull my drum around. So here we can see our knife condition. I'm looking at the edge of this blade. I've got my gloves on. I want to make sure there's no significant chips. You can see some examples of chips here. That's about as much as you'd like to see without replacing the knife. I'm going to verify that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts in place. Check with your operator's manual to get the proper torque specification, and those need to be verified with a torque wrench whenever you change the knives. If you're not changing knives, no further action is needed. Continue to rotate the drum a full 360 degrees. The reason you want to do this is to, one, get rid of any water like you might have just heard, and two, you can check all of your knives. There should be 4. As they come around, I'm checking each one, looking at them visually, making sure the bolts are in place. This also makes sure that your drum can turn freely and it's not going to bind up and damage your clutch when you go to engage it. Once you have a full revolution of the drum, I'm back to where I started, you're done. We go ahead and we can close the chipper hood, reinstall the safety pin. This particular pin is backed up with this cotter pin here, so put that in place. And then we plug in this safety switch, and now the chipper should be good to operate. That check is done. After our inspections, we're going to close the inspection hood, pushing it down. Using our lock pin, we're going to get that into position. Secure it right here, and we're going to reinstall the safety plug into the receiver. The chipper slide box is this apparatus that holds the feed wheel. In order for the chipper to work correctly, the box needs to be able to slide up and down, and it does so on these rails. These rails should have a thin layer of oil on them that you can feel with a glove or a rag. If they are dry, they take just a regular engine oil wiped on with a rag to make sure that they're slippery. This is a good opportunity to continue our check for our safety labels to make sure they're all in place, keeping up our check for loose hardware. There's hardware all over these machines, so you have to keep a keen eye out for loose hardware. Plus, hydraulic oil leaks. If you look over here, you'll see that there's some old oil residue on this chipper. This is from a prior hydraulic leak. When available, this should be cleaned off in the wash bay so that you can tell if there's a leak that happens again. That leak has been corrected, but there's still signs of it. Spilt oil like that is a sign there may be a leak, and you should ask questions. Quick note about hand engaged clutches. So this is our clutch engagement on our smaller hand fed chipper. Some of our 20XP machine fed chippers will also have this. When you put the clutch in, when you start the motor, it needs to be out, which is pulled back in this direction. To put it in, you press hard once, twice, and you verify through this window that the belt is turning. Only then do you push it a third time and click it into place. That will engage your clutch the correct way and result in little damage. There's an important difference between this style of chipper and the style that we started this video off with. I wanted to talk about it right now. It's the difference between a hand-fed chipper and a machine-fed chipper. On this style, we've got the safety bar that allows us to reverse the feed wheel when the chipper is running. We also have these safety cables that if you pull really hard, should be able to easily reverse the wheels. This is a very important chipper, and only chippers that have these features can be fed by hand. If I had some brush, I would stand to the side and I could put it in safely and move away. The chipper we looked at this morning is designed for only machinery fed. So you can feed a hand feed chipper with a machine, but you cannot feed a machine fed chipper by hand. Verifying there's no brush and debris on the chipper. On a daily basis, we need to verify that the feed system of the chipper is well greased. On this particular chipper, we have 2 grease zerks right here, And when I looked under, I could see that they're plumbed in to grease my lower feed wheel bearing and my bearing on the conveyor feed chain. So those two will be greased daily. Up here, there's a Zerk that moves grease into my upper feed wheel. It's right here. That needs to be greased daily as well. There should be a total of 8 Zerks on our feed system of this style. We just looked at 3. One was for the upper drum right side, one was for the lower drum right side, one was for the forward conveyor on the right side. At the rear of the conveyor, right under here, we will have our 4th Zerk for this pivot point. And on this side, on the left side, we'll have one here, that's our 5th Zerk. And then come with me. Here is our 6th and 7th Zerk. Our 8th Zerk for the left side of the machine, top feed wheel, is right here. In order to check our chain drive tension, we're going to have to remove this door panel. On this chipper, we have these screw-on handles. You unthread them and remove them. From there, you open the door and you visually inspect your chain tension right here. You can verify that it's within specs according to the manual. The tensioning device is behind this platform. If the tension needs to be adjusted, you'll have to remove these pieces of hardware and remove this guard panel. Next, we're going to check our in-feed hopper. This is, of course, where trees are fed into the wood chipper. Rocks like this will quickly dull and damage your knives and become hazards. Make sure there's no rocks or other obstructions like wood and debris laying inside of the feed hopper. You want to visually inspect your feed wheels too. Make sure that the feed ribs on the wheels are not bent really badly, out of shape or anything like that. We're going to check our discharge. On this chipper, we have a fixed discharge that has a directional tip. So we're going to make sure that the tip is pointed in the right direction and that the broadcast area for our wood chips is free of any hazards or obstructions that we don't want to have wood chips touch. For our track inspection, we're going to look to verify that there's no excessive debris underneath the undercarriage. If there are, we're going to clean all of them from the undercarriage before we start to operate. From this perspective, we're going to look from the top of our final drive sprocket, which is right here, to our first idler, which is right here, and we're going to lay a bar like this bar across, and we're going to verify the gap in the middle between the top of our grousers and the bar. I can see here that we've got about 3/8 to a 1/2 inch gap. That's an appropriate amount of tension for our track. Any more than that would be too loose. And if there's no sag at all, it's too tight. Anytime you're going to operate a remote controlled chipper, you'll want to make sure that you have fully charged batteries and a backup set. The batteries are underneath this cover. They take AA batteries for this particular chipper. When I press and turn the remote on, I can see it gives me an indicator as to the charge level. This is an acceptable amount of charge. So verify that you have extra batteries and that you have enough charge on your remote to do your work. The power from our engine is delivered to our drive belts through a clutch system. Every chipper has a little bit of a different type of clutch. On our bigger chippers like this, you're going to have an automatic hydraulic driven clutch. You should verify that the fluid level is correct in that clutch assembly. Again, check your operator's manual for the correct procedure to check that fluid. On smaller chippers, you'll have a hand operated clutch. You want to verify the free play on that clutch is the proper amount. For this particular chipper, we have a couple of different radiator assemblies. Behind here is our main cooling element for our engine. It's protected by this large screen. Make sure that there's not excessive debris built up, and if there are, clean it off with your hands and then use a leaf blower from the backside to blow it out. You can open it up by using these two latches. This is our hydraulic cooler assembly. We want to make sure the same thing, that we don't have an excessive buildup of debris on this hydraulic cooler and that this screen is in good shape and not beat up. While checking over your chipper, keep an eye on all of the different safety decals. There's really good critical information on all of these decals. If you notice that they're peeled off or faded to where you can't read them, or maybe covered in some type of debris, clean them, or if you can't clean them, talk to a mechanic to order a new set. They're really essential and we want to make sure that they're in place. In order to do our gauge check, we're going to go back into our engine compartment and turn our key to the on position. The computer will take a minute to boot up, but from here we can see our gauge display, including fuel level, coolant temperature, engine oil pressure, engine RPMs, volts, and engine hours. This is our DEF gauge for this particular model. To do our coolant line inspections on this machine, I've come back to the engine compartment. I'm going to open this inspection door. Behind it, I'm going to look at my coolant lines, my connections. I'm going to verify that there's no leaks down on the floor beneath the coolant apparatus, and make sure that my belts are in good condition while I've got this good inspection angle. If anything does not pass inspection, check with your crew leader or a mechanic to see if the track chipper is still in operable condition. Afterwards, tap Save. Draw your signature, tap Certify, and Save. Congratulations! You have now completed a pre-trip inspection. If you have any questions about operation or the mechanical condition or the safe use of this machine, check with your foreman or a mechanic who's qualified. Remember, your operator's manual has tremendous information specific to the machine that you're charged with operating. Make sure that you locate that manual on KPA and that you have the physical copy with you when you operate.